Something felt wrong the moment the hearing room went quiet. It wasn't the kind of silence that comes from routine procedure. It was the kind of silence that happens when people sense something big is about to break open. And within seconds, Senator Cory Booker, barely able to speak through the flu he was fighting, stepped into that silence and delivered a line of questioning that would reshape the entire hearing. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was something far more dangerous, controlled, precise, and aimed directly at the one answer Kash Patel could not hide from. Because Patel didn't just walk into that room as a nominee.
Personnel associated with Trump investigations.
I'm not aware of that,
Thank you.
Senator.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by FBI employees involved in these investigations. If you do pursue investigations of those involved, will you commit to using standard processes, including a standard review by the FBI Inspections Division and the Inspector General?
Senator, I will honor all those review processes.
You will honor those review processes.
Yes, Senator.
If these are actions that the FBI employees, if there are actions against FBI employees that do not follow those standards process that happen before you get in, will you commit to reversing any decision prior to your arrival so that those standard processes and the standard review by the FBI Inspections Division will take place?
I don't know what's going on right now over there, but I'm committed to you, Senator, and your colleagues that I will honor the internal review process of the FBI.
Have you made any commitments to anyone about pursuing any investigations or targets if you are FBI director?
Only violent criminals and terrorists.
Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Only following the Constitution.
Again, are you certain?
That I have told people on the administration.
Are you certain? Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, I've only said I will use the Constitution.
Have you discussed specific investigations or targets you would pursue as FBI director with the President of the United States?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, no.
Are you certain?
To the best of my recollection, no.
According to public reports, you were subpoenaed by the federal prosecutors to testify as a witness before the grand jury investigation investigating the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. And you testified before the grand jury, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you were before the grand jury, you pled the fifth on the basis of self-incrimination, correct?
I utilized my constitutional rights during that process with the advice and consent of counsel and appeared before that grand jury.
I will take that as a yes. And you are familiar, I imagine, with Section 6002 of Title 18.
Off the top of my head, Senator, not.
Well, Section 6002 is the immunity statute. Whenever a witness refuses to testify or provide other information before a grand jury based upon the privilege against self-incrimination, the court can order the witness to testify. The witness must comply with the order, but they receive immunity, which means that no testimony or any other information provided before the grand jury can be used against them in any criminal proceeding. You were compelled to testify as a witness in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case. Did you participate in any criminal conduct involved in that case?
Involved in which, the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case?
Yes.
No, I testified through compulsion by court order.
You received immunity for providing information that was self-incriminating. Do you remember the name of the prosecutor who questioned you?
There were multiple, Senator. I do not.
Was it one of the people, were any of them people that were fired this past week?
I have no idea, Senator.
Are you certain? You're under oath.
I'm aware that I'm under oath, Senator, and I have no idea, and I did not participate in the removal of any DOJ prosecutors.
What was the information you provided that you received immunity for?
Senator, I would love my grand jury testimony to be released, but as you know, that grand jury testimony has been sealed by the Department of Justice, and I'm not allowed to discuss it here.
Well, I find it troubling that you do not know the law here, and let me tell you what the law is. Rule 6 governs grand jury proceedings. Under Rule 6E, grand jurors, court reporters, and prosecutors are bound to secrecy. But witnesses are not bound by secrecy. You were a witness in the classified documents case. You are not bound by secrecy. You can tell us everything that happened in that room and everything you testified about. I'll ask you again, what information did you provide to the grand jury?
In this, we are agreement, Senator. Get my grand jury testimony. I want it made public. I asked the Department of Justice to make it public, and they refused to do so.
There is no legal bound against you telling us right now what you testified to.
When I asked for my transcript to be released, the
Sir,
Department
did
of
you or did you
Justice-
not commit a crime?
Senator, I did not commit a crime.
Then why won't you tell us what you testified to?
Because it occurred over the course of 3 weeks. I don't have the ability to recall everything I testified to, but I'm asking you to put my
Did you testify
transcript
to
out.
witnessing the President of the United States declassifying documents?
Senator, what I testified to is best captured by that transcript
So
in real
you're not
time.
willing to tell Congress, after making many pledges today about transparency, whether or not you testified to witnessing the President of the United States declassify documents. In the name of all the values you have said today, did you or did you not testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassify documents?
I testified accordingly and under oath, and I encourage you to get that transcript.
And by the law of our land, you are free to tell people, what are you hiding from Congress? Answer the question. Did you testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassifying documents, yes or no?
Senator, the grand jury testimony is available to you. I encourage you to make it public.
As you likely know, the second volume of Jack Smith's report about the classified document case is not public yet. To fulfill our constitutional duty of advice and consent, the President, on nominations, members of this committee have asked the DOJ to review the report. Do you agree that Congress should thoroughly review its nominees? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, last question and I'll be done. When you and I met, you told me that you wanted to remove 11,000 FBI personnel or move many of them, and you said that again today. You have looked at an org chart to understand what offices and functions that you'll be pulling from. I don't think you've done a serious analysis, but I do think you have an assignment from Donald Trump to gut the FBI. You said yourself, I'll shut down the FBI Hoover building. There are people specifically that you are targeting, I believe. And do you agree that you have already prepared plans to remove certain individuals from their offices? For example, individuals that will be replaced by political personnel. The political personnel that are being put in an institution that you and I discussed that has no political appointees but one, the political personnel involve these names: Erica Knight, Tom Ferguson, Greg Bitzner.
You stated your question. Would you answer? Or don't you want to? Okay.
We can move on.
Senator Blackburn.
He walked in carrying secrets he didn't expect anyone to challenge. Not publicly, not on the record, and definitely not with the force Booker brought that day. And before the committee realized what was happening, the entire tone of the hearing shifted into something darker, sharper, and far more revealing than anyone had prepared for. Booker started with something simple. 12 career prosecutors had been fired, people with decades of service, people whose work touched some of the most sensitive investigations in the country, and Patel claimed to know nothing about it. One of those names, Brett Reynolds, wasn't obscure. He was tied to a major classified documents case involving the former president. Yet Patel, under oath, said the name didn't ring a bell. That was the moment Booker's eyes narrowed. Because nobody forgets the people connected to a case serious enough to trigger a federal grand jury. Especially not someone who had been subpoenaed in that very case. But Patel dodged again, insisting he needed more context, as if the committee hadn't been handed every detail minutes earlier. What Booker did next stunned the room. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse. He simply asked one question anyone seeking to lead a federal agency should answer without hesitation. Were there discussions about punishing agents tied to those investigations? Patel couldn't do it. Instead, he reached for the safest answer he could craft in real time. I'm not aware. The kind of response that satisfies no one and reveals everything. Booker didn't let it slip. He pressed again, and the dodging became even clearer. Because if Patel truly had no knowledge, he would have said so outright. Instead, he used phrases that sounded carefully lawyered, almost rehearsed, like someone trying to avoid triggering a contradiction with something he'd said somewhere else. And Booker wasn't done, not even close. Because this wasn't just about whether Patel knew names or internal discussions. It was about whether a nominee for FBI director would commit, on record, to respecting due process, agency review procedures, and the inspectors responsible for keeping the system honest. When Patel finally said he would honor those review processes, Booker didn't let the committee move on. He inserted the real weight of the question. If Patel arrived and discovered that someone before him had violated those processes, weaponized them, even, would he reverse those actions? Patel's answer wasn't a yes. It wasn't a no. It was another vague promise wrapped in uncertainty, a cloud of "I don't know what's going on over there," and "I'm committed to you, Senator." And when someone chooses loyalty to a senator instead of loyalty to the law itself, that answer becomes a warning. But that wasn't the whole story. Booker shifted entirely, into territory Patel clearly did not expect. He asked Patel if he had made commitments to anyone about pursuing investigations if appointed. Again, Patel insisted he had only committed to going after violent criminals and terrorists. But when Booker asked whether Patel had discussed specific cases with the transition team, the nominee's composure cracked. He paused. He narrowed his language again. "Only following the Constitution," he said. Booker pounced. Because that wasn't the question, and Patel knew it. The next moment took the hearing from tense to historic. Booker referenced the classified documents investigation involving the former president, one of the most consequential cases in the country, and revealed what Patel had been hoping no one would bring up. Patel had been subpoenaed. He appeared before a grand jury, and he invoked his right against self-incrimination. For a nominee seeking to lead the FBI, that alone should have shaken the room. But the real shock was still coming. Patel admitted he was compelled to testify, which means, legally, he received immunity, and Booker didn't let the moment pass. He explained, clearly, publicly, for everyone watching, what immunity under the law actually means. Under Section 6002, anyone who refuses to testify due to self-incrimination can be ordered to testify. In exchange, the court prohibits prosecutors from using that testimony against them. So the question became simple. Why did Kash Patel need immunity? Booker asked the one question nobody else dared to ask. Did Patel commit a crime in that case? Patel said no. But Booker wasn't satisfied. Because if Patel committed no crime and was protected by immunity anyway, then why wouldn't he tell Congress what he said under oath? Patel repeated something that wasn't true for a witness. He said he couldn't discuss it because grand jury testimony was sealed. Booker cut through it instantly. Because grand jury secrecy rules don't apply to witnesses. They can reveal anything they said behind that door. They can disclose every word, which meant Patel was hiding something. And Booker made sure the country knew it. The room shifted again. Patel said he couldn't remember what he testified to during the 3-week process. A stunning answer for someone being considered for one of the most powerful intelligence positions in the federal government. That's when Booker struck with the question Patel absolutely did not want to face. Did he testify that he witnessed the former president declassifying documents? The hearing room froze. Patel dodged again, insisting the transcript would answer that, urging Booker to make it public. But he refused to say yes or no. And that silence, carefully constructed, legally cautious, told the committee more than any admission ever could. Booker then revealed yet another problem. The second volume of a federal prosecutor's report, not released to the public, still hidden. Members of the committee had requested to review it before deciding on Patel's nomination. Because how can anyone confirm a director without knowing what they told a grand jury under immunity? But even that wasn't the final blow. Booker turned from the past to the future. And what he described wasn't a disagreement or a policy concern. It was an existential threat to the independence of the FBI. Booker said Patel had already discussed removing thousands of personnel, up to 11,000 from various divisions, and potentially replacing them with political loyalists. Some names were already floating around. Individuals with no business taking roles in an agency designed to function without political influence. An agency where political appointees number exactly one. Booker accused Patel of having an assignment, not a vision, not a plan, an assignment from forces outside the committee room. And Patel did not deny it. That moment exposed something larger than any single hearing, something bigger than Patel himself. It exposed the possibility that one of the most sensitive institutions in the country could be reshaped, not through law, not through oversight, but through a quiet internal purge. And that's what left the committee uneasy. Because Patel didn't walk into that hearing trying to earn trust. He walked in trying not to reveal what he already knew. The fired prosecutors, the sealed testimony, the unpublished report, the personnel removal plans, the immunity he didn't want to explain, the classified discussions he refused to clarify. Each answer created a new question, and each question added another layer to the growing belief that Patel was holding something back. If he was fully transparent, he would have said what he testified. If he had nothing to hide, he would have answered yes or no. That if he wanted trust, he would have spoken plainly. But he didn't. That he dodged, delayed, redirected, and recited safe phrases crafted to give meaning without meaning anything. And Booker, sick, tired, and still razor-sharp, exposed that pattern for the entire country to see. Some observers believe Patel's silence hints at testimony that could damage not just his nomination, but others tied to that classified documents case. Reports claim his account may have involved contradicting statements made by people close to the former president. Rumors suggest Patel's testimony is one of the reasons federal investigators pursued certain search warrants so aggressively. None of this is proven, but the unanswered questions only grow louder. Because if Patel truly wanted transparency, he would have embraced the opportunity to clear his name. Instead, he waited for someone else to make his testimony public, someone he knew likely wouldn't. So what did Booker reveal? Not the content of Patel's testimony, not the hidden report, and not the internal discussions happening inside the FBI. Yet he revealed the one thing more dangerous than any of that. A nominee for FBI director who came into the hearing with something to protect. And if someone hides this much before getting the job, imagine what happens after. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share to keep these critical moments in the spotlight. And if you want to support more fearless, fact-focused breakdowns, join us on Patreon. More powerful stories are coming your way.